So, seeing as a couple of days from now we have Halloween, I thought this would be a nice day to learn how to make a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. Have you made this before? You must have seen these before for sure. So, I'm going to show you how to paint it so that it looks like a three-dimensional pumpkin that has been carved to look like a jack-o'-lantern. All right, so let's look at our reference image.
So the jack-o'-lanterns were originally turnips.
Yes, I came across that interesting tidbit. So, what we have to do essentially is make not a turnip, sorry, a pumpkin. And in that pumpkin, we have to make these shapes and make it look as if that pumpkin is three-dimensional. So it's very easy to do because all we have to do is give thicknesses to all the shapes and then make it dark on the inside, and that is enough to make it look like a three-dimensional pumpkin. Okay, so as usual, we are first going to make a sketch in rough, shade it a little bit, understand all the shapes, and then make a fair version of this. Alright, so just like we did last time, we will make a small jack-o'-lantern on the left. We'll do some shading, maybe test out some colors over here. So we need only about so much space, maybe 4 or 5 fingers apart, that much space on the left hand side. And on the right hand side, we're going to make our pumpkin about this big. So you want enough space between all the test area or the test items and the final image so that if it looks good, you can actually tear it away and then put it up, display it around your house, even maybe cut it out and display it. That also looks really nice. Okay, so let's begin first with understanding how a pumpkin looks. So pumpkin is nothing but an oval, a flattened oval. So you can start off with first making a circle and then cut off its bottom by making it flat like this. Keep the bulge of the circle on the sides. Just make sure that this looks nice and smooth. And do the same thing on top. But sometimes it's not so flat on top as it is on the bottom. So it's a little rounded but still flattish from the bottom and more a horizontal oval. Then just on top, we will make a little curve from where we will throw out the stalk of the pumpkin. The stalk of the pumpkin in our reference image is just straight, but we can make it curve like that. And instead of making a round here, you can make it a little staggered like that because pumpkin stalks are really thick. So this looks a little, the jagged edge looks nicer on a jack-o'-lantern rather than a smooth edge. Now for the sketch, leave this line, this line of the pumpkin that is behind the stalk, just let it be. Now somewhere right in the center from the base of the stalk to the bottom, we will make a triangle first. Okay, and then on the side, depending upon how much space you have, not at the top, but somewhere in the middle of the triangle, on either side of it, make 2 horizontal lines first to make sure that your eyes are in line. Okay, then on the inside, you will make a straight line for both triangles, the inside eye part. and the outside you will curve this a little bit. Okay? Right, now let's make this smile. So let's make a curve going from one side to the other, just like a regular smile. Now if we make this jack-o'-lantern is not looking very scary at all. So we are going to make 2 teeth from the top, and the mouth is going to be like this, right? So these lines can be erased afterwards, and this is the bottom. Now if you want, you can also make an extra tooth here. Already this is looking like a nice jack-o'-lantern. I'm thinking that I could have made the nose slightly higher, right? It's become too low. Now we need to make the three-dimensional effect. So what do we do here? It looks as if my lantern is looking downward a little bit. So I'm going to make a 3D effect like this. I'm going to draw the inside of the jack-o'-lantern like this. There's a corner, goes inward, and then a 3D line from the inside. Same thing on the other side. Take a line a little to an angle on the left, make a parallel line to the bottom on the inside of that triangle, and then around from the right side. For the nose, we will make 3 lines coming towards the center of the triangle, and join those ends to make a little hollow over there. And for the mouth, we will just make a line that runs parallel on the inside of the lower part of the mouth. Now let's shade the hollows. The hollow part is only the inside part. Can you see these as inside? Now that the face is done, I can adjust the base of my pumpkin so that it looks a little nicer. And we have to make these ridges. And the ridges are made like that. I just want you to see this first. Don't draw with me, just observe this. You start off with one straight line running through the center like this, and every time I come across a facial feature, I jump over that and draw the line. Then you draw a line a little to the side, which is not as curved as the outside, just a little curved. So it goes up and curves and comes down. And the next one curves and comes down. So it's not as curved as the outside. And then in the middle, we furnish more of these lines, and they all converge at the center. Jump over, jump over. See? And in between, you can make more such lines which are in a sequence, becoming more and more curved as they go towards the outside. Okay, I'm going to leave only half of it done so that you can also build the structure on both sides. And then we will move to the fair version of this. Now, once you're happy with the design, you can always use an eraser to remove the unnecessary lines to check if your illustration is looking like what you want it to look. And in order to make the final version better, think about all the things that you want to perfect in that. Like, I want to make the face slightly higher. So I'm going to make the nose a little higher up so that the features come better. Okay, shall we make the final version? Okay, I'm not making it too big because I want some room around my pumpkin. Maybe I could draw some, I don't know, some leaves, some lights, something scary. So I'm going to make my pumpkin about this big. So the first thing to do is make a very light circle. Then flatten the bottom. Now we could also make it a little bumpy on top afterwards. Just below the top of the circle, we will make the stalk. And this time, we'll also make the ends of that curve round up like this. Draw some lines going into the stalk and make like a zigzag cut around it. Now, if you wanted to look even more three-dimensional, you can make a zigzag around the other side also so that you can see the cross-section of the stalk. Maybe I'll make it this flat and also round from here. Yeah, I like this shape a lot. Now, last time I'd made my nose right in the center, so I'm shifting my nose up a little bit. Making the eyes on the side. The inside is a straight line, the outside is slightly curved. I like how that curve is looking. And I can make a much deeper smile. Let's add the 3D. And now you can erase the lines that you don't need. I think I'm going to make it smaller from the side. It's looking too big. Yes, I like this. Now let's make the texture. We don't have to shade the insides right now. We can paint them black afterwards. Now, there are many fruit and vegetables which come in this kind of a shape, and all of them can be drawn exactly like that, although not many of them are carved. So, when you get the curved line down, you bring it straight down and bend it to join the base like this. It does not join back, they don't all connect to each other because our pumpkin is flat. So, somewhere underneath this is where all the lines will join. Otherwise, it'll look like a globe, a very scary globe. Okay, are we done? Now, to make it look like a three-dimensional pumpkin, we have to also show that there is light falling on one part of the pumpkin and the rest of it is dark. So, we are going to do color blending like we did in the last class. Remember how we did this? We blended some colors down into some dark while the color was still wet. Yes, Sia?
Usually, isn't there a light inside the pumpkin?
It is, yes, but in order to show that light, we will have to paint the rest of it dark. So I'm going the other way around. Today I want to show the dark, scary inside of the pumpkin and maybe not so much light. Okay, so now this is what we're going to do. We start off with making a yellow shade using gamboge and orange. So this will become like a warm yellow. It's mostly gamboge, but it has a little bit of orange in it to make it look like a pumpkin color, but not a deep pumpkin color. And then we are going to paint the rest of the pumpkin in more orange than in gamboge. So it's always a good strategy to test out the color. This is my orange and gamboge color. And this is my orange. So orange has to be slightly deeper than orange and gamboge. And both have to be a little runny because it's a large space that we have to paint. Oops, let me erase these lines. Please erase the lines of the smile just above the tooth, otherwise it'll look very odd. And any extra lines that you don't need can be removed. All the lines can also be made lighter by rolling your eraser on top of it like this. Alright, now I want you to observe how I'm painting. It's really important you see this. Don't paint with me. I want you to see how I hold the brush. It's a big fat brush, and how I keep merging the deeper color into the lighter color and keep pulling it forward. Okay, so I want you to see this. I have made only the light orange color here because the rest of my palette is messy. But I have put enough water in the orange itself, and I'm going to keep adding water to this while I paint the rest of the surface. So I want you to see this first and see how I'm picking up color and how I'm painting. Sometimes in observation also you learn a lot. Okay, so I'm starting from the top left. I'm first applying a lot of this red, light orange color. And my paint is reasonably wet, it's not too wet. Now to that same orange and gamboge, I'm adding more orange. So it's going to start becoming more and more orange. And I go along the edge of that color. And I'll keep increasing the orange and keep staining the paper, moving my brush further. And after every few strokes, I will also take some water. See how I'm bringing it now to the darker side of the melon. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? Why am I calling it melon, turnips, anything I'm calling it? Now the brush has become really dry, so I've taken more water, taken more paint, and pushing the color to the right. So all these edges are nice and wet, and that's why I won't get any patches. Now that I have very little to paint, I will not take any more paint. I will just spread this paint nicely to join this, finish it, and then wait till this dries. Once you have painted the surface, then don't do any masti on it. Let it dry completely. And do keep a rag handy. So if you feel there's too much paint or too much water, wipe a little bit on the rag and then paint. Kyra, hold the book, please, when you're painting. Good. Let me know when you finish painting, because we have to wait for the watercolor to dry before we paint anything else. So in the meantime, I'll show you how to do some lettering.
Mom, I finished.
Okay, Kyra. We'll just wait for Sia and Siri to finish. Sia and Siri, if you're still painting, you're probably over painting it. Don't overdo the painting, okay? If all the surface is covered, just let it dry for now.
I'm still making my color.
You're still making your color? Oh my god, okay. Go ahead. Have you started painting now, Siri? Sia, are you done?
Almost.
Okay. With watercolor, you should remember that in one layer, you should not put too much color. You should not keep painting in, but you can keep making more and more layers afterwards. That way, your colors remain looking fresh.
I'm done.
Okay. Wait, was that C or CD? I could not tell.
That was Siri.
Okay.
He said it, but we're both done.
Oh, even you're done? Okay, excellent. All right. Now, while the pumpkin is drying, we should maybe practice some lettering. What should we write? We can write something around here. So, you know how much space you have. What do you think you should write? We practice it in rough first and then we can write it here.
Halloween, Jack-o'-lantern.
Okay, jack-o'-lantern, Halloween, those are the obvious ones. Anything
Happy
else?
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. All right. So first let's try writing Happy Halloween here and we can write it in a very spooky manner. So write the usual letters, but all the horizontal lines you can convert them into slanty lines like that. And anything that is straight can be turned slightly crooked. Then what we can do is give this a spooky outline. So just make it like slime. Is it looking spooky?
It looks a bit like wood.
Wood, that is true also. What if we were to color this up? Anytime you want to make things look Halloweeny, you have to make these droopy lines like that, like droopy hollows. See, this will look nice. Now, the Halloween bit, if we write the same thing on both, I don't know how it's going to look. So, how about we write Halloween like maybe like wood itself. So, draw lines like this, which are that look like some pieces of wood have been clamped together. And you can break the circle into 4 parts maybe. Now I don't want to go too far into this side, so I'm just going to stop at hello over here and write the in at the bottom. So first I'll write the 3 crossbars and then draw a line behind them. This looks like a nice E. And we can also make our lines a little crooked so they don't all have to join at the right point. I think this looks quite nice. Okay, so let's write Halloween at the bottom. But first thing is we need to know how many letters on either side we need to keep. So we will put a center line here, leave enough space from the bottom. And although we are not going to write all the letters in one line, we should at least draw a line to know how many letters we put on either side. So Halloween has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters, which means O is in the middle. And then you can write L and L like this. So this is what I do. I first write the basic letters in whatever direction I want to. So I know how much space I'm using, and I want to make everything centered nicely. And then I'll make it a double line for each of them. So first I'll make this H, then slap together two chunks of board like so. And maybe the O can be made out of 2, 3 parts like that. And they don't all have to be the same size. When you're done, let's erase the lines we don't need. And also the overlaps over here you can remove. Like in the A, my crossbar, which is this horizontal line, is supposed to overlap the angular lines. So I should remove that. Then it will look like a nice 3D effect. So wherever you feel that something is looking transparent, just remove that part of that line. That will happen in the E, may happen in the N. Back. I like how it's turned out. Now let's paint this part the same color we paint as on the stalk. Now hopefully your jack-o'-lanterns have dried a little bit. Turn them upside down and on the top make a yellow ochre stalk like this. All the way, even the inside. We're going to make it dark afterwards. And we'll use the same color to carefully paint the wood panels.
Mom, what color did you use?
I'm using yellow ochre. That's this one. So this part, I think you can just paint the first 2 or 3 letters for now, because you should be painting it very carefully, properly edge to edge, so that the letters don't look too shoddy. And the shape is really important here, because we are spending so much time in making it look like wood, pieces of wood that are attached together. So take your time in making the shape, paint the edges properly, and by the time I finish, if you have finished just 3-4 letters, that is fine. We can move on, and I'll come back and show you how to create a 3D effect on these letters also. Now, what I want you girls to do is remember these techniques and use them in things like your school projects. How to draw a 3D object, how to draw letters made out of sticks or planks, because lettering can really make a big difference to your presentations. And most important is, if you do land up using this, share it on the group so that the other members can also get ideas, and they can also continue or make these kinds of letterings in their school projects. Okay, I'm done with my Halloween, so you guys can stop wherever you are for the moment, because we have to still make something on the jack-o'-lantern. So now I'm going to use the same color as we did before, the gamboge and orange mix. And this time the paint is a little thicker. And I'm going to paint the inside. Now, since the lettering is on the bottom, I'm carefully painting the inside of the mouth. You can also paint over the section which is going to become a dark black color. So we are painting that 3D section a slightly darker color, but also giving some depth to the whole of the inside. Then afterwards we will just paint the hollow part. See, instead of painting just this much, I'm painting the whole eye, the whole triangle. And this is being painted in a mix of gamboge and orange, not just orange. We need that little bit of gamboge as well. And because the word Halloween is wet, I am painting this sideways so that my hand does not fall on the wet letters. This is how it's going to look. Let me know when you're done with this, then I can show you the next part that we have to do for the stalk. Kyra, how are you doing? Could you turn on your video, please? Thank you. How are you doing?
Ma'am, I'm almost done.
Great.
I need to finish the eyes, nose, and mouth.
Okay, all right. So while you all are painting, I'm going to do something which you can do later, but I just want to put this on the video. This can also take some time, but we will run out of time. So I'm going to make a shadow behind all the letters. And I'm going to use a little bit of cerulean blue, which I already have in my palette. You don't do this right now. I want you to just finish the eyes, nose, mouth, and we can proceed to the stalk. But I will continue to do this so that later on in the video you can watch it. So I'm now making a line on the left and the bottom of the letters. So I've turned my book to the side so that I don't go over the wet part on the pumpkin face. But with this blue, I am creating a shadow. So part of it is going to be on the left of the letters, which when I've turned the book to this side is going to be on the bottom side. And this is how it's going to look. It's going to give a little bit of a shadow effect to the letters. Okay, as this dries, it's going to start looking more three-dimensional because of the shadow. Are we done with the face of the jack-o'-lantern? Siri is done. Kyra, are you done? Kyra, don't do the blue part. Don't do it right now because I want to do the other stuff. You can watch the video later. Sia, you done? Okay. Now I'm going to take a mix of sap green and burnt umber. That's these two colors. And make a greenish brown shade like this. And we will use that shade to make the stalk. So here's one technique to use. You make the stalk in stripes like that. Don't paint the whole thing in one shot. And the stripes don't have to be parallel. Sometimes in some places they can join also. So this is the first part. And we will come back and make some more lines on this after the stalk dries. So this color is sap green and burnt umber. So another thing that I'm doing on the letters is using my pencil to make some shadows. Just the part where one plank overlaps the other one, I'm also putting an extra shadow in some places, not everywhere. All right, now the last bit. Now the inside we have to paint in black. But before we paint this, have a look at this. I'm going to add some shadows. Just use your regular pencil and see how I'm adding shadows. Would you look here, please? So just from the corners, I'm going to add a little shadow coming towards the center of that section like this. And because we have painted it, the pencil will appear slightly darker. See, in the corner of the eye, from there towards the outside corner of the eye. These are very lightly drawn lines, and you can use your fingers to blend just a little bit. This will give it a really spooky look. Then on the nose, any one side you can make it slightly deeper. Of course, the inside corners will be deeper. And similarly from the opening of the mouth as well. So shadows are extremely important in making your three-dimensional objects look more three-dimensional. To convince the eye that, hey, this is three-dimensional object. See? And we will also put a shadow at the bottom. So use the same pencil to make these lines on the side.
Ma'am, my pencil is looking purple on the jack-o'-lantern.
That's okay. Purple is also fine. Purple shadows also look nice. And then a nice shadow at the base on the right hand side because we've made a highlight on the left. So how do you make this shadow, and especially spooky? Make it horizontal first, not at an angle. And it should look like a C shape, an extended C shape like this. From the bottom, a line will go straight out and then slightly upward, curved upward. Now, once the shading is done, we can take the same orange color and a thin brush this time. To mark the ridges of the pumpkin. So this is how I'm marking the ridges of the pumpkin. And these lines can go through our shapes also. They will, once they dry, they become much lighter, so they won't be visible. Even at the bottom, and you can draw some extra in between also. There's usually quite a few lines. Oh, I keep saying this is the last bit, but there are still some more parts. Sorry. Uh, Here now we can add a shadow to the base of the stalk as well. Just a deeper color, the same color but slightly deeper. Draw a nice horizontal line there, which you can take up into the stalk texture. And now, finally, I promise you, this is the last bit, no more than this, is paint the absolute inside a full black color. And for this part, if you want to, you can use a pen to make the outline first so that you get a good shape, and then you can paint the eyes in with watercolor. See how the shadows are making this really look like a hollow. Remember, if you're not feeling very confident about drawing the outline, you can make it in pen or in pencil and then paint. And of course, before you paint anything in a dark color, you should make sure that that is exactly where you need to paint it. Now remember, for the mouth, we don't take the line all the way to the end of the mouth. It just remains in this internal section, just the hollow part. So don't make the whole mouth dark. And depending upon how large your space is, you should change your brush. Use a thin brush to paint in sections which are small, and use a medium sized brush to paint in sections which are slightly bigger. There we go. All done. Now I can add more details to this. I could use the pencil to make more shadows over here. Of course, I could also make shadows in the ridges itself also, like we made in the bottom. And you can make more ridges on the outside, on the back. You can make a shadow on the right side of the stalk for it to look like That is where the shadow of the stalk is falling. So, yeah, beyond this point, there's a lot more you can also do. But this finally is now done.